Yes, please.
Okay. Hello, guys. Thank you for taking our time to join with us today. So we have Mary. Yeah, she's taking out time out of a very busy schedule to share with us, and she'll start by introduction of herself, and then we can take the questions from the first one. Yeah. So thank you for joining, and I hope you guys have a good time. You can add more questions as we go on. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Kule. I mean, I tell everybody that I'm very busy just so that I can be excused. um, about myself, I think you shared my profile, so I really don't need to. I'm a woman. I'm a mother. I have two kids, a wife, and I do mainly advisory type work related to strategy or generally solving problems for businesses and for the government as much as we can. I think that's probably enough. I'm sure from the questions you'd know more about me. So I'll just go right into the first question. All right. Talks about how I decided on consulting and whether it was a fad. And so I did not decide on consulting. I believe that it happened. So I wasn't one of those people who, I always knew where I wanted to be at every point in time. I did not. I I tried to be, I won't call it religious, but I just believe that I think things happen for a reason. There's a time and chance, there's a place for everything, and you're put in a place for things to happen. So these days, when I say I'm a pharmacist, people laugh at me. So I studied pharmacy. I did it for a bit. And then let's just say I fell in love and so couldn't pursue pharmacy. I was in Nigeria and I thought to myself, I tried to continue in the line of pharmacy, but it wasn't really fulfilling. And I shouldn't be looking at you, right? I should just be looking. It wasn't what I wanted to do because my whole point of studying pharmacy was to solve malaria problem. And I really wanted to work in the lab and, put all of the chemicals together and then voila, solve the problem. But I didn't have the opportunity to do that here. I ended up just selling drugs or dispensing drugs over the counter. And because I fell in love and I got married, and my husband was not going to relocate outside Nigeria, I was here in Nigeria and I had to find something else to do that would give me the opportunity to solve problems. That's how I got into PwC. Now, my first job in PwC was tax. So I did tax for a year or so. And then I moved on to assurance, which is audit. And but again, it wasn't fulfilling. And needing to, I started talking about needing to do something more challenging. And that's how consulting was introduced to me. Now, within consulting, I'm not sure how much you know about consulting, but if we say that we're solving business problems, there's a wide array of things that can be done in consulting. So within consulting, I realized very early that strategy gave me the bandwidth to express myself. And that's how I am where I am. Did I answer the
Yes, you
question?
did.
So I go on to the next
So we
one.
go to the next one.
Okay. Dear Mary, privileged.
This is Omolara.
Hi, Omalara. Oh, I'm sure she's not okay online, but did your career and strategy happen on a straight? Oh, I think I've answered that question. Or were there a couple of detours? A lot of detours, but I guess I was just focused on. I really wanted to solve problems. I mean, in assurance and in audit, we solve problems, but it's quite restricted because they have all of the standards that you have to comply with. Sometimes whether they make sense or not, you have to comply with them. And um, I consider myself a logical person, so Consulting allows you room to ask questions and solve those problems using your logical perceptions. Much as not everybody has the opportunity to kickstart via consulting, what are job roles that can aid a smooth career transition into strategy? I actually do not think, I mean, if you would ask me for my advice, I do not think that anybody should go straight into strategy consulting from school. It doesn't make sense because to do a good job, you rely a lot more on your experience and what you've gone through. You just know when something is right. And then you have all of the tools and the approaches to use to prove your hypothesis that something is right. Without the experience, then you're just walking in the blind. Plus, your experience also lets you know the boundaries within which you can work because you don't want to solve problems and then end up doing something illegal. So you need quite some. PwC, we actually encourage people to start off maybe doing assurance or tax and then learning about businesses within a controlled environment or start in line industry. So go to the bank, go to manufacturing companies, learn about those businesses, and then come in and do strategy. Of course, in addition to that, let me see, the third question is what are the must-have skills for aspiring? I think the one thing is that you have to have intellectual curiosity. You have to be willing to ask the questions why, and you have to be diligent enough to get answers. The answers are not always straightforward or obvious, but you need to believe in your conviction that there's an answer to this question. And so not be afraid to ask. I always say to my colleagues that you are where you are because of something you've done or something you have. So don't ever let anybody make you feel small. Um, there are things that you know that somebody else doesn't know. So never be afraid to ask why. I think that's, did I answer that question? What other alternate or closely related entry paths? I think I've answered that.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice selecting for me.
Okay, good.
Okay. Thank you for taking out. I don't know why people keep thanking me for taking out time. I wish I could see their faces. Next one, we have to be able to see everybody's faces. I'm grateful for this interactive opportunity. Given that Nigeria is a patriarchal society, predominantly dominated by men, how did you as a woman rise above all this in your journey to becoming a partner and still maintain the respect and loyalty you garner from both your peers? So from a very young age, my mom had always said to me that as a woman, to be able to get ahead, you had to work twice as hard as your male counterpart to get to the same place where your male counterpart is. And I guess that stuck with me. So how did I make partner? How did I become partner? I just did my work, really. I mean, I definitely agree that I mean our society is patriarchal, and I recognize that. And that's another thing I think with strategy. Strategy, I believe, helps you identify challenges along the way because you don't succeed because your path is smooth. You succeed because you recognize that there would be thorns along the way, but you deal with them and push ahead. My I think my secret weapon actually is probably my husband, he's here, so I don't want him to, because I've never told him this, because he gives me cover in this patriarchal environment. And what do I mean by that? In discussing with the men, it's easy for me to just put his and probably 3 times out of 5 interactions somebody knows him, and that immediately breaks down the walls, and just they then see me as one of them, because if I'm married to their friend, and then oh, she can't be that bad. So that's my secret weapon in dealing with the men,
And
because they're there. There's something in PwC that we have. What do they call it? He for she, and that's recognizing that, especially in professional services, it's a man's world, and we like to pride ourselves on being diverse and inclusive, and so we thought that we needed to go the extra mile to bring in women into our into make women feel part of the system. And male colleagues, every time they do something, I'm like, that's not he for she, you know but it is doable. It is doable without compromising your standards. But again, I think the trick is just working twice as hard. I, you can't avoid that. Next.
okay. No, you can, yeah.
Oh,
You're good to go.
okay.
I'm completely on here.
All right. Hello, Mary. This is Oyi Consola, right? It's wonderful to have this platform to speak with you, but you're not speaking with me. You're just asking me questions. I have 2 questions. As an experienced project director, what advice would you give to someone about to embark on their first experience heading a major project? What advice would I, let me see, the first, I think Oinkon, the first thing, do not forget that you're probably heading or leading this major project because you have what it takes. So don't doubt yourself. If something doesn't feel right, it probably doesn't feel right because it's not right. So I think trust in point and rely on that. Of course, depending on the type of project, you want to know what tools are available. You also want to recognize that in heading a project, you're going to have to deliver through people. And what does that mean? You're going to have to make sure people buy into whatever it is you want to do. You're going to have to make sure that you spend the first few days of the project explaining to your team what the project is about, answering all their questions, encouraging them to fail early, fail quickly, and let's address it. Um, I think trusting yourself. I mean, I would like to say trusting your team, but you always need to have a backup plan with your team. So you always need to know what good looks like and identify very quickly when you're not seeing good. Second question is, with all the projects you've worked on, which would you say have been the most challenging? And yeah, the most challenging was actually the one that most affected my career. And I think it was my first major entry into public sector. years ago, 11, 10 years, 10, 11 years ago. Um, what happened? I think we had this brainwave in the office about how things within public sector. So for the longest time, PwC did not deliver services to the public sector because we just thought it would be difficult for us to communicate. But gradually we realized that to be able to effect the sort of change or the impact in the society, we couldn't avoid the public sector. And so we thought, okay, you know what, let's go into public sector. And it was quite challenging, but it was also really rewarding. I mean, it was just, I always say to people that, you know, the public sector, more often than not, they work at their own time and their own pace. They do not work at the same pace as private sector, but they get there eventually. And so doing that job taught me how to be patient. It taught me how to have a poker face. It taught me how to be diligent. It taught me, I think, how to be a politician. I think in my journey as a professional services provider, I've had the most growth working with the public sector than any other job. Next one, Folashade. How do you manage and lead millennials effectively? It's hard to get them to work hard without motivation and continuous encouragement. You know, there's a book that I read. I actually have it on my bed. I think it's what's it called? Is it Understanding Millennials or Managing Millennials for Dummies? Because I mean I feel your pain, Folashade. And is unlike I mean, I think we older people who probably prefer put put a lot of stock on diplomacy and on being polite and being nice. I think for millennials, they are more concerned about, I don't know, adding value. They are more concerned about achieving something and being recognized for that. And so in dealing with them, at least in my workplace, I sense that they do better when you give them a task, you tell them what you expect of them, you agree on all of the timelines and let them deliver. And where they do not deliver, I realize that they are more receptive to candid and open feedback than a lot of the older ones. The older ones want you to be nice. I mean, the human capital person will tell me, "Oh, you know what? In giving feedback, always start with a nice thing before you give, you know, the what you really want to say." And I find that the millennials don't have time for that. I mean, they want you, you know, tell me how it is, tell me how to improve, and let's keep it moving. I sort of like that in them. And I tend to encourage my millennials to, you know, I mean, they actually keep me fresh. They keep me thinking, you know, looking at things with new perspectives. And so I think that's how. So in a nutshell, I'll say give them responsibility, and you'll be surprised at how well they do. I also find out that sometimes encouragement is less about money and motivation is less about money for them and more about feeling a sense of achievement. Thank you for taking my question is what do you think of office politics? It's off. It's gonna. What do you think of office politics? That is an office culture where there's no clear structure and people have to get ahead. In terms of pay, and how would you advise someone in that environment to deal with the situation? You know, again, working in public sector, I remember you have to work with politicians, and I remember getting into this conversation with a politician, and then he looks at me and says, "What are you talking about? We're all politicians." I said, "No, I'm not a politician." He said, "What do you mean?" That you stand here, somebody is upsetting you, and then you smile. What do you think that is? That's all playing politics. So we're all so. I mean, there's politics everywhere. Um, Office, home, with your friends, everybody plays politics. So how do you deal with it in the way, I mean, I would advise you to deal with it is, so I say to people that I work with that I'm not here to be your friend. You don't have to like me, but you will respect me. And why would people respect you? People will respect you because you bring something to the table. So if you're empty, I think empty people usually have to grovel to get ahead. Or if you know what you have, if you deliver what you have and it's adding value to the organization, I mean, you'd be recognized. And sometimes in places where there are no systems and processes. So for example, if you know that to be able to deliver, you have to travel. In a structured environment, you would probably put in a request and then it would be bought for you. But if you if you recognize if it's important to you to deliver and you feel like a stakeholder within that environment, then I see no reason why you shouldn't spend your money to travel, get the job done, and then come back and report it and perhaps get your money back. Um, I mean, and then if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. You leave. When I joined PwC, our we call him a senior partner. He always said, because I know with professional services, it's such an intensive environment that it's either you're performing or you're out, and people typically some people will get scared like, oh, I'm not performing, but and somebody he says to us that he doesn't know why people get scared, and somebody says, oh, that it's difficult to have job security in this sort of environment, and then he says, what do you define as job security? I guess our parents define job security as working in a place for 50 years and then at the end getting a gold Rolex watch or something. But these days, job security is the ability to get a job at any point in time. It doesn't have to be in one place. So if you're good enough, if you know that you're bringing value to this organization and the organization isn't recognizing you and is forcing you to grovel, there are other organizations that will recognize you. So just put it out there. And this day of social media, I guess, I mean, the limit is up to you as to where you can get to. So that would be my advice.
Okay, yeah. So those are the questions we have right now. Well, I can ask a couple of questions.
Okay.
Yeah? Okay, so market entry
Mm-hmm.
is something that we're interested in. So there are a lot of small businesses that are looking to get into the market, looking at this product. Well, I mean, market entry is probably all trying to get into Nigeria. But looking at it from startups, I have this product in mind. I'm trying to build this product. I want to sell in Nigeria. I don't have money to do all the research that the big corporates pay PwC, for example, to do. One, two, three things that I need to spend time focusing on. Um, if I need to do research myself, I mean, if there's any research or this budget at all.
Okay, so let me just correct something you said.
Mm.
Market entry is not just coming in. There, guess there are different types. So there would be a new business, you know, an existing business outside Nigeria coming into Nigeria. That's
Mm.
probably market development.
I see.
So you're developing your business in that market.
Mm.
For somebody in Nigeria who's perhaps doing business in Nigeria and then wanting to expand, so maybe that would be penetration. You're trying to. So market entry is just going into a new market or taking a new product into a market that you're already in. For a small, you know, sometimes every time I hear this thing about small business, because I look at these millennials, I look at my kids and what people are doing just by sitting in front of the computer. I mean, I was saying to you, this is the first time I have live streamed anything, but I know, I mean, people half my age have been live streaming and doing this. So just by looking at your computer, you do all sorts of things. People stay in their kitchen and start a catering business. It's ridiculous. Research is only as good as the data you have. So a lot of times, even when PwC does the research, we actually just use multiple scenarios on multiple fronts, just to because, like I said, you start off with experience, so you know when something feels right, and then you understand the data available, and then you work with that to see where you would land. That's what a PwC would do, and that's what anybody can do, really. The advantage that PwC has is that we have this wealth of knowledge. So we know how other businesses have done it. We know um, where some of those landmines are. But I think if you start small, if you're doing something you love, right? And if you're not afraid to fail early, fail quickly. But at the heart of it, it is something that you love. And that's research. Yeah.
Okay. Next question.
Mm-hmm.
So strategy, PwC partner. You've been doing this for 14, 15 years, or maybe 16 years,
Maybe 17 years.
17 years.
This is on YouTube, so everybody.
Yes,
Oh.
yes. 17 years. So I'm wondering, have you ever had to do something for government or for bank or central bank or any of those guys, and you planned it out very well? You did your research, you were sure about the strategy, and then you went and you didn't work out.
All the time.
Oh. Can you share
Oh,
any particular experience that's interesting?
but I mean, we always joke in the office that I mean, sometimes the consultant is brought in to take the blame. Oh, the consultant said it's the consultant's fault, and we know um
Without maybe the
probably
names
not,
of the.
probably not. But
Okay.
suffice to say that it happened for different reasons. So people are doing this thing they call a SWOT analysis: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And they're talking about threats. Typical threats in Nigeria is a policy flip flop, for example, and that's real, or it used to be real, because you could sit in a room and say, okay, so this is what the policy is around exchange rate, for example. This is what the policy is. It's not going to change. And I remember 3 or 4 years ago, actually, we did strategy for a bank, corporate strategy for, I think it was for a bank. And one of the factors we were looking at was exchange rates. And we knew that there was pressure on the naira because oil prices were falling. And then we said, okay, so what scenario are we going to use? I mean, where are we going to peg the exchange rate? What the boundary? I think then it was 198 or something. And we said, well, no matter how bad it is, probably 250. I think in the room somebody said, like they should use 500. Some senior person said, "How never, it can't happen." What do you mean 500? Do we not have a government? What are you talking about? I think we said 300, and even that 300 was like, this is too extreme. But where did we end up?
500.
So it happens. It happens. I mean, there's the one about mobile money. It's a lot of hype about it and all, but banks are holding strong. And the telcos have been unable to penetrate. So somebody asked, why is M-Pesa working in Kenya? Why can't it, penetrate here? And the powers are fighting. And so like I said, the fact that you do this strategy, you articulate this strategy, and then maybe things do not work out, shouldn't stop you from articulating the strategy, because it is only by articulating the strategy that you know things are not working out. And you can identify very quickly that, this is not working out the way I planned. Yeah.
And then you have to change
Yes.
on the project.
Yes. Yes. So that's one. So those are external factors. But even internally, sometimes within businesses, and it happens in our individual lives, you plan, I digress, but I was in church last week, and the Reverend Father was talking about demons in our lives. And he talked about different things. And then he says, that one demon that you need to pray against is when you walk into a store, and you just start buying things you didn't plan to buy. So I looked at my son. I said, I didn't know that was a demon. I thought if you're in the store that you're supposed to buy. And he says, no. When you leave your house, you plan that this is what you're going to buy. You go in there, you buy, you leave. And you don't need to buy everything. I said, oh, wow. So the same thing with strategy. A business to plan their strategy and, this is what we're going to do. This is what we're not going to do. And then maybe one of their competitor just decides they're coming up with a new product. They just forget the strategy and, defend our market, and that changes everything. Maybe you need technology to be able to achieve that strategy, and like, well, I don't have money for that technology, so let's just revert. So a lot of different reasons why it, but the value in actually articulating your strategy is not the paper the strategy is written on, but it's the conversation that you're forced to have in order to write that paper. That's the value. It's in the conversations.
Okay. Next question. So this question always comes to women that are doing well in their careers. How do you manage family and your career? And how do you manage all these things and still stay? On top of your career, and then you're probably planning to move to the next level after this. How do you?
My boss is here. I'm planning to move.
Next level would be like maybe like CEO or something.
Again, don't let my boss is here. See my family though. That's how I. Another advice that I always tell women, I always say to them, especially in professional services, if you do not have a supporting family, don't even bother. It's not going to work.
Don't do this at all.
Don't bother. Because you will not be happy, they will not be happy. Don't bother. I really do not even think I manage anything, because so when I was giving birth, I really wanted a girl. I really wanted a girl. But for whatever reason, I had two boys. But immediately when I started this career journey and all, which is why I said at the beginning, I think things happen for a reason. Sometimes I don't fight too many things. I'm so grateful that I have boys, because what has happened is I've ended up having three boys, one adult, two kids, and they just sort themselves out. They just, mommy needs to work, and so that's, mommy needs to travel. Okay, so it's I'm not the word that comes to mind is saddled. I'm not I'm not encumbered by. So there are times that I need to show up. So they know they can call me, try to make myself available, but it's not like my husband is expecting fresh soup at night and I have to. No, I mean my husband he will take it in there, and then the kids to they'll sort themselves out. So nobody is asking me, we don't have this, we don't have that. Oh, you need to. So it's been the family has been supportive. I think that's the I couldn't have done it otherwise. Plus, because there have been really sad days at work, and when you just we talk about when things don't work out, and then my rock, my husband was like, "Calm down, be fine, don't worry." And then so some of my colleagues ask me because they know maybe I'm going through a rough time, and then I come into work and I'm smiling, and they're like, "How do you smile? How do you stay happy?" And I guess I just remember when I come home and then between my kids and my husband, they just. So I think that's it. So please have a loving, supportive family. You're halfway there.
Let's talk about schooling, yeah?
Oh,
Um, so you did an MBA, Kello. I mean, that's like top MBA.
it's okay. I'm still
Top
paying for
MBA.
it.
That's like top MBA.
That's why I did it.
Yeah, it definitely gave you an don't share. I mean, so people talk about should I want to do an MBA? Should I not do it? Um, yeah, that's it.
Whew. Um, you notice that I did the MBA. I think it was 2014. That's when I got it. It took a while for me to decide on doing. So one thing was I knew I wanted to do it in a top school. I wasn't sure I could afford it. Um, and then I wasn't sure about how it would affect my career. And then with the family, would they be on board? And so there was a lot to think about. But why did I do it? I did it because to get comments like what you said, top MBA, and I know that in a country like Nigeria, these things matter. Um, I think it's useful. I know when I got really serious at the time, thought I said no. I think I do because sometimes I mean it helps even in delivering work. You say to somebody, oh, when I got my MBA, this, and then they ask you, oh, where did you get it? Okay. Oh, okay. So it helps. Um, but what was your question, Vincent?
I mean, you're saying it helps. So I'm wondering, was it like a really big difference? Would you, if someone was going to make decisions today, is it like this is why you should? Apart
Strategy in delivering anything, any um, business support services or something. It's it always comes down to the financials. It always comes down to money. So you can talk all your story, but you have to be able to connect that to how it will impact on the financial. So when I joined PwC, because I was a pharmacist, I did not know anything about accounting. Okay, this is getting comfortable. I did not know anything about accounting. Nothing. I didn't know anything about debit and credit. I don't know what.
Yes, debit and credit.
What do you guys study?
Computer science, food technology.
So you probably still don't know anything about debit and credit.
Yeah, you need to
Okay, so and of course in English language, credit is supposed to be positive, right, or something.
Yeah, correct.
But in accounting, it's not so positive. Okay, something or then the debit is the asset, is the positive one, and then credit is not expense, it's liability. I never understood that. I thought it didn't make sense. So I had to go through initially because I told you I was in tax and assurance. I went through ICANN, did that to help me understand finance and you know business finance. But in doing the MBA, I realized that you also get that through an MBA. Now the MBA helps you because I think it practicalizes or it makes practical some of those theorems that exist. Um, the MBA also opens you, I think, to a good network of people across the world. That I mean, you spend 2 years together, so you're friends, and you can reach out. I remember from my MBA, there was something we're doing within pension, and because our current pension um, arrangement, contributory pension scheme, was adopted from Chile, from South America. And so we were doing something within pension and we wanted to benchmark with a South American country, but the report we got was all in, is it Spanish they speak or Portuguese, one of these languages. It was all in that. So I just sent a message to my friend from the MBA class to say, please, translate this for me and whatever in business speak, and she did it. So it opens you up to, I don't know, different things. You have a network of people. You learn about businesses, and then it gives you some credibility. So is it useful? Yes, it is. I think it is useful. The one advice I would give though is I an MBA is a waste when you do it straight out of school. Just gone. I think you should work a bit. Fail early, fail quickly, and then learn from it, and then take that into the MBA. Solidify whatever it is, get all the tools and structures, and then get that. Yeah.
Would you have would you have come back if
They need to hear.
no? Yeah. So I was asking, would you have come back if there was no family or anything? Would you have?
From MBA.
Yeah.
So I did the MBA while I was in PwC, and things were moving. Yeah.
So assume you were pre PwC, then MBA.
Maybe not, because even while I was doing the MBA, a lot of these companies will come around to talk to you and try and pique your interest in them. And I remember one of my professors kept saying, "Oh, you should try this." I'm like, "I'm not interested," because I think there's a lot that can be done in Nigeria. There is so much and I am one of those people that believes that only Nigerians can solve Nigeria's problem. I just think we have to solve our problems ourselves. No, the foreigners can assist. The foreigners, I think, would probably help us better if we're clear about what we want. So it wasn't, let me see, did I even think about it? And I don't even think it was family. I didn't even think about, because I just wanted to come back and do something. Yeah, I don't know.
So interests apart from consulting or doing strategy, is there something that you would? I mean, I probably should not ask the question because it's possible. But is there a new area looking
Oh, they
at
probably know.
beyond strategy, like something that
They
you
know.
think you would like to do? Yeah.
Oh, so my interest. I like fashion. I like fashion quite a bit. I like, I don't know, I like to, I guess because of what I've, my experience in life, I like to support, um, I have a bias for women and for pushing them ahead. I get very excited at when a woman excels. When I do not like women being pitched. I don't know if that makes sense. I like, you know, I like women being recognized for who they are, what they've done. I think they were very special people. And so I look for ways to support in my own way. And I guess sometimes my way is about, oh, you have to work hard, you have to, do this, but do not lose yourself. Okay, so I guess bringing both of them together, because I'm sure you're wondering, if I wasn't in PwC, if I wasn't doing strategy, and I would probably be doing something where I would be coaching women to, I guess, have beauty and brains, because I think you can do both. It's not one or the other. I think you can do both. I think that's
Any questions? Okay, so questions about the
it's not one thing I want to share. It's the one thing I want to share. I think if
can be for men since you.
I like how well, I like how people, sometimes when I go for all of these things, or even when you sent me the link, I was looking at my profile and I was like, oh wow, I didn't recognize myself. And it's been what, 17, 18 years in the making, and all of this has happened. And I'm no genius. I am not even close. I mean, so if I can do it, I think anybody can do it. There's no secret.
So just as a follow up to that, because you people my age right now are very I need to do this before I'm 30. I need to do this before I'm 35. You know, and because we run like a community, in our community, we see a lot of people frustrated with not making as much progress as I think I should make. So when you were 10 years in this, did you see yourself becoming a partner at 17? In 17, I mean, well, I don't know when you became a partner in X number of years. Um, did you have to push? I mean, beyond working very hard, how did you manage, the fact that you wanted to be this and you were here at this point? Did you have any times when there was maybe a setback and you thought, oh, I should have been promoted to the next level? I mean, how did you manage this process? Because we have a lot of people who right now are like, I've been doing this for 10 years. I'm supposed to have moved ahead. I mean, I shouldn't be at this point. How do you manage? Do you have any time like that? And how do you manage?
So I guess I got into this career thing without really having a sense as to I have to be here at certain points in time. So yes, there were times, I think there was one time when I thought I should have been promoted and I wasn't promoted. Um, so for people your age, I think if you if you spend your time putting all of this artificial, I don't know, milestones, oh, I have to be here. It's not taking a bad idea, put it there, but also recognize that life happens. So sometimes you do all of these things, and I, I guess for me, it is more important for me. It is more important for me to live than to achieve. I don't know if that makes sense. So I try to cherish, so when I do a project and it works, I'm like, oh wow, fantastic, great. And then if something happens, in my career beyond that, oh, so the the moment is more important than how I move. I always say to people, all of that progression is a timing difference, and it's very temporary. So I have your kind in my office, who would complain, and if you do what you're supposed to do and you do it well, the system will recognize you, and then you will. It's really not hard. I always used to argue with my boss. Again, this is all experience. Life is complicated as it is. You don't need to add any more complexities. So just keep things simple. Do what you're supposed to do. Recognize what's within your control, and let all the others take care of themselves. Don't fret too much. Okay, and I must confess. I mean, I have a husband who doesn't take life seriously. So even when I try to, oh, you have to, he has to, he's like, relax, relax. These things happen. It's not by, it's not by power, might. Just take it easy.
Final question. So, I mean, because this is like some mentorship. So, you want to talk about mentorship? I mean, experience. Do you have experience with a mentee, a mentor?
That you would like to share?
Like with my
Mentor
mentors.
or with a mentee?
I mean, you how the mentor help if they helped, did you?
I've told you everything. My mentors from my senior partner that redefined what job security was for me. So after that, I wasn't scared about, oh, I have to keep my job and I know what I have. To the thing about timing difference, there was another mentor that said to me, don't worry about these things. Keep doing your work. We know you're good, and to so I've had different mentors too. Somebody pushing me, saying to me that, Mary, I know you have it, so bring it out. I'm not going to take this. Study work, you can do better. And then for mentees, I'm hoping that I have touched people's lives and given them the drive to achieve, to do something to themselves, and um, giving them, push them to do things. So I know some people have uh, gone on MBAs. I know some people have been able to complete projects because they were encouraged. And I said earlier, I have a bias for women, but I mean, I work with men, and so I actually, for me, in mentoring anybody, I insist on you being yourself. In PwC, we have something called PwC is the best and brightest. And, we have a lot of first class graduates who they're first class, they come in feeling, and then they sit in one room and one brainstorming session and they're like, oh my goodness, can I cope? And so you have to constantly encourage them and tell them, look, you're best and you are here for a reason. You're different people, you're unique, and we want to see your, yes, coming. So don't try to fit in. Never try. Never try. Yeah, I think I read this somewhere actually. It goes something like, never try to be somebody else because you can never be better than that person. So just try to be the best of you.
Thank you so much, Mary, for taking the time to talk to us.
I think that the next time we should have drinks.
And maybe a physical, yeah,
A
Yeah.
physical one, maybe.
one.
Oh, okay. Would there be
Yeah.
drinks there?
Yeah,
Yes.
of course.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
always have
we always have
food. We always have
have
food.
food.
For me.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for doing this. Thank you. So we need to end the session.
Thanks, God.
It's like, okay.